All right, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to create and modify walls. First off, at the first level, walls are pretty simple. All I have to do is click on walls, and I'm just using a basic generic wall, and I draw, and I have wall. Okay, but there are some ways that you can change and or modify these, such as right now I have my location line. So as I draw, I'm drawing measuring from the finish face exterior, meaning that I'm measuring, see how the dotted line is associated with the outside of the wall as I draw, and how when I come around this corner, how the wall pivots using the outside finish face as its pivot point. Okay. Now, to change that, I can go here, and let's say I want it to by finish face interior instead of exterior. Okay, so now I can draw some lines, and you see here, it's basing the wall position off the interior face of the wall. You see the dotted line, how it lines up with the interior face. And then on the corners, as you can see, when I pivot the corner, it uses the interior finish as its pivot point. Okay, so that's how that works. And there are, of course, other settings in here that will allow you to change, different reference points. I typically just use wall center line, but what that does, let's say if you want a room that is 10 foot by 10 foot and you want that to definitely be the space within the room, well, I'd want to build it by finish face interior and draw this way 10 foot, draw this way 10 foot, and so forth and so on. Then we just close it right up. So now I'm guaranteed to have 10 foot by 10 foot inside dimensions. If I were to have drawn that using the center line as my reference of the wall, then I would actually come out probably about 6 inches short all the way around. But it really just depends on what, if you really need that space or if you're just putting a wall there. So good luck with that. Another way to modify your walls is to change the height of the wall. Let's say we're here on walls. Right now these walls are unconnected height at 20 foot. Well, typically we don't draw 20-foot walls. I don't know why it defaults to 20 foot, but let's say I'm building a house and I've got 8-foot walls. Well, I'm going to change that to 8 foot. And once I change that, well, it should have, okay, I have to be in a wall selection in the wall tool. So I'm in the wall tool now, and I'm going to change that to 8 foot. And as I draw, every wall that I draw throughout this particular session will become 8 foot tall. Okay, the next method of modifying walls, this can get pretty deep. Okay, so let's say I'm going to draw some walls and I need those walls to meet certain specifications. These are 8-inch walls. Well, for one, I can choose different walls by clicking on my type selector and choosing 8-inch fill, 12-inch walls, 5, 4, and 7/8-inch partitions, and things like that. But let's say I have some specific walls that I need to draw. I'm going to start here with this basic wall, interior 4 and 7/8-inch partition. Those are interior walls. Click on edit type, and what I do here in edit type is I always duplicate and make a new wall. I don't mess with the wall that's already there, because if you use that wall again, if you want to use it somewhere else in your plan, it's going to always have those changes that you made to it. I just want to affect one specific wall, so I click duplicate, and I might even rename this based on the specific wall that I want to create. It could be a kitchen wall and have some other kind of details that go along with that. So now I have a kitchen wall. I can do any kind of editing I want to without affecting that original wall. So to edit this, I'm going to go here to edit, And as you see here, the structure is 3 5/8 inch, which is usually typically the thickness of your 2x4s or the width of your 2x4s. And that makes up the center portion of the wall, the core boundary of the wall. And then, of course, we have gypsum drywall on both sides of that. Let's say that instead of using 3 5/8 inch metal studs, let's say that we're using 6 inch wide or thick or wide metal studs, so 6 inches. I would change that. Okay, and everything else would stay the same, and then once I click, then that wall will now be that thick. I might even want to change the material. Okay, maybe I'm not using metal studs, maybe I'm using softwood lumber right here. Let's see. Well, you don't see this. Okay, so I'm in my little selecting thing here. Need to adjust the size of my windows. But I just scroll through here and find a different material. I'm going to use softwood lumber. And then I click OK. So now my walls are made of softwood lumber and not metal studs. Gypsum wallboard right here. I might want to change that. And I might change that to, there could be some sort of paneling or something like that I have. If it's not in here, of course, I would have to make it. Let's say I'm going to use tile for some reason. Click OK. Now my walls are made of 4-inch porcelain tile, and that is 4-inch square tiles, not 4-inch thick. However, the thickness may be different. Might be 3/8 inch instead of whatever it said before, 5/8 of an inch. Yeah. Okay. So that's how we edit that wall. Of course, you can add materials also by clicking the insert. And let's say on the opposite side, on the back side of that porcelain, I am going to have gypsum wallboard. Typically you will actually. So I just created that new layer here by clicking insert. And then I'm going to move that down because it needs to be under the porcelain tile, not over the porcelain tile, because then you won't see the porcelain tile. And then here I can just go in and select gypsum wallboard. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, where is that? There it is. Okay, so now I have another layer of gypsum wallboard. I do need to adjust the thickness to its true thickness. And there we go. So now I have a tile wall, and I forget which one that actually I have not drawn that one yet. So we see here, you might be able to see there's a change in thickness from the other walls. And then again, you might not. Okay, but that is how you modify walls.